Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Crowcoin, kind of see what's going on there, and obviously understand a little bit more about what will happen next. I get the question now, hey, should I short Crowcoin right now? Well, let's see if we can find that out. Honestly, it's difficult to say. A lot of this is based on Bitcoin's behavior, and truly Bitcoin has been fairly unreliable lately, but Bitcoin is looking like it's overextended, should turn around soon. So if that gives you any indication, Crow might follow suit since it does seem to be doing very similar recently. That being said, not a financial advisor, just love teaching people how to trade. I hope you have a good learning experience here today. And if you want to learn more, I have a trading academy, link in the description below. You can check that out, of course. That is now live on our website. Keep in mind the website's still being built, but it does allow you to log in away from Patreon and have a much better billing experience. And of course, you gain access to my signals and our private chat groups too. So that being said, taking a look here at Crowcoin, one thing we want to note first of all in the one-day chart is the simple moving averages. We got the 200-day SMA working its way up, so 33 cents is still confirmed as a nice strong supporter. So if Bitcoin loses bottom, I would say 33 cents should be the lowest point at which you should expect the price to go in the immediate future. I think Bitcoin could have a second bottom here soon, and if so, we could see the same thing from Crow, right? Come down and bounce off of 33. That's a likelihood. Again, is there any guarantees that? No, but we have a strong support at 33 cents, which interestingly enough is concurrent with 33,000 for Bitcoin. So I can see why I just mispronounced that. So okay, let's go ahead and focus on what's important. Let's take a look at some of the moving averages. We already did that, but with one thing I need to help you understand is that we're almost effectively getting rejected by the 50-day correction, the 50 on the RSI, right? So 50 on the RSI is essentially a point of contention. It's usually a support or resistance level, and oftentimes it's reflected on the price action itself. So we could say right now that 46 cents is probably the shelf or the resistance level for Crowcoin right now. That is synonymous with 50 on the RSI. That being said, it doesn't look like it's trying. It does look like it's trying to break ahead and break above, but it's not able to do that yet. So just keep that in mind. Crowcoin's not, I wouldn't say looking weak, but it's looking very similar to Bitcoin in a lot of ways. In fact, I can pull up Bitcoin as well so you can kind of see. This behavior is very similar in a lot of ways. Bitcoin's continuing to progress upwards slowly. Crowcoin had a sharp increase initially, and now it's starting to level out, so to speak, right? So that being said, that I don't know if that helps you any, but watch my other Bitcoin videos if you're curious about how Bitcoin is shaping up, because I think it has a lot to do with Crowcoin too. But the bottom line is that they're very similar in a lot of ways right now. So if Bitcoin does lose its bottom, which I'm expecting, then Crow should too, if that makes any sense. But we can still look at other factors as well. The fact that we're stuck under 50 on the RSI is not a great sign. That to me tells me that there's a resistance level it cannot break. Oftentimes, at least we saw this with Bitcoin a couple of weeks ago, it had this shelf for 3 or 4 days that it couldn't pass, and then it eventually just dumped because there was so much selling pressure at a specific price point. I think it was 52,000 if I'm not mistaken. It just pushed the price straight down from there. There's no real reason for it, but just it couldn't pass that resistance point. Same thing's happening here with Crow and also with Bitcoin too. It's at the 39,000 seems to be a tough place to cross for Bitcoin over the last couple of days. So that being said, I think that Crowcoin should, and more likely than not, will decrease sooner than later, right? Will it come down to 33 cents? Probably not, unless Bitcoin comes to 33,000. But in general, I do think that Crow is more likely to reverse and come down versus going up. Again, that's mostly based on my sentiment for Bitcoin, not necessarily Crow as a coin. Because Crowcoin is a good coin. It will eventually break free from Bitcoin. It looks like it's, I guess, kind of trying, but it's really not performing, anything better than it should, right? That being said, both moving averages are essentially working it into a type of wedge here. Now, the good news here is the fact that we do have, potential for a golden cross, right? With the price, the moving average working its way up, right? The 50, when it intersects with a 200 upward fashion, it usually pushes it through that 200. So keep that in mind as well. That could essentially come to fruition here where the price actually could increase inevitably because of that sentiment. I don't put a lot of weight onto that, honestly, but I do think that is a likelihood. It's like a 60-40% probability that it's going to break to the upside based on that sentiment, right? But again, we don't look at just one indicator. That's why we look at everything. We extract as much information as we can from different time frames to come to a rounded decision, right? Now, there's never going to be 100% like, oh, every single indicator is telling us we're going to go this direction. But you can, kind of take the odds and go with the you can become the house instead of gambling against the house, so to speak, with some of these small little things. So that being said, regardless of what I just mentioned, RSI is up over 50 and under 70. That's typically a good sign. So the midterm's not looking bad here for Crow. It looks like there could be a shift in momentum, possibly to the upside based on that. We did have a rejection here off the convergence, so to speak. So there was no convergence on the MACD, which was stunted out here recently. So that doesn't help really give us confirmation that we should take a long position. That actually almost works oppositely, in the sense that we shouldn't expect a push to the upside because it's getting stopped out right here, right? Because when you get this momentous trend and the price swings upwards, right? So let's go ahead and take this example back here where the MACD shifted in upward fashion, right? We can see that 12-day intersects with a 26 in upward fashion right here at 5 a.m. on the 23rd. When that occurred right here at 5 a.m. on the 23rd, that was right here. You saw the price pushed up and continued up, right? But when we look at the price action right now, you look and see how weak this is. There's not a lot of strength, you could say. The volume itself, even though you can see a lot of volume accumulation at this price point, it's very, I wouldn't say fragile, but there's a tremendous less amount of volume or volatility, you could say, that is affecting the price action right now. Usually that's a sign of weakness, and that's usually a sign that we're going to see the price turn around. Commonly, that's what I try to look for. How large are the candle wicks and candlesticks? They're honestly, if you have small bodies and very large wicks, basically means it's a point of contention, right? That's what a doji implies. It tells you that it's an indecision. But when you have multiple dojis in a row, the likelihood of it reversing and coming back down is higher, right? Again, we're still talking only a 60-40 likelihood, right? I mean, what, 98% of statistics are made up on the spot, right? So again, these numbers are not foolproof, but in my experience, I can tell you that it's more likely than not we will see a reversal based on how weak Crow is looking, and it's reflective of Bitcoin's weakness too, because Bitcoin is struggling to break 39,000 right now. So is Crowcoin really going to shoot straight up from here when it's got some major resistance levels right above it? I don't know. I don't think that it's very likely, even though the midterm looks average, just slightly better than average. I still don't like it. That being said, let's go ahead and move on to the Ichimoku Cloud on the 1 hour, and we'll see a very similar story here. In fact, this is almost identical to Bitcoin as well, just a little bit more exaggerated, whereas the conversion line just intersected with a baseline, not a good sign. Lagging span intersect with a price action, and we're still above the cloud. So we've got 1 out of 3 indicators telling us that we should leave our long position open. Do you really want to go with those odds, right? So the short term should imply a turnaround here. So we should expect for the price to turn around here in the near future. I wouldn't say it's going to be a drop to 33 cents, right? We got to understand that it's not just going to lose its bottom if Bitcoin retains its integrity. Okay, if Bitcoin goes sideways for the next week, then Crowcoin will continue to increase. That's just an inevitability. But if Bitcoin corrects itself down to 37,000, which I'm expecting, then Crowcoin should also do something similar, which would probably be somewhere in the range of 40, possibly even 38 cents. So right in that range, I would say 38 cents would probably be a best case scenario for Crow, but 40/41 is probably more likely. Okay. Again, there's a handful of different things you could consider, a lot of different, thought processes, so to speak, but it's just looking kind of weak right now, in my personal opinion, and most of that is based on, again, my thought process with Bitcoin. Okay, I feel Bitcoin is going to decrease 37,000 in the near future. If that is any indication of Crow's history, which it usually is, at least recently, then we can expect Crow to decrease as well. Again, 33 cents I think is unlikely for Crow in the immediate future. Perhaps long-term if Bitcoin continues to bleed slower and lower down below 37. But for right now, if Bitcoin comes down to 37 and bounces, we should expect either 40, actually let's just say a round number of 41 cents and or 38 cents. So 41 and 38 would be the either dollar cost average targets or the short trade targets, if you will, right? Anything lower than that I think is a little bit egregious. Once again, just based on the sentiment here that 33 cents is probably the likely bottom for Crowcoin, even if Bitcoin were to dump to 33,000, right? Again, things to consider, something to think about, but I would say I'm definitely more bearish on the short term for Crow, but bullish on the long term, if that makes sense, right? So a month or two from now, I'm confident Crowcoin will actually hit our swing trade target in 76 cents. I do think Crow is going to do very well this year, but is it right now? Probably not. Okay, so hopefully that helped you understand kind of where we're coming from here. And again, I got this request from Yuri, one of my community members. Thank you so much for requesting that I cover this. And obviously, be careful and be cautious. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Come to your own conclusions too, right? I mean, obviously, everything I teach you here and in my trading academy, etc., is to ensure that you have a good foundation to be able to make informed decisions. It helps to have ideas and bounce them off of other people, but you have to truly own this if you're going to take a trade, especially the downside. There is more risk involved. Anyways, hopefully that helps you, and thanks again for all of your time here today. We'll look forward to seeing the next video. If you're not currently a community member, link in the description below. Website's now live, albeit very, it's not complete, but there is the membership section there where you can access the Trading Academy and obviously have resources to our signals, both swing trade and day trade signals, and obviously as well our private chat groups. So I look forward to seeing the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.